why I made this memorial so late in the season. Primarily because we couldn't get a venue. We had trouble getting a venue, and my partner back there, Alan, who just was up here, located this, fortunately, on this wonderful day. God is shining down on these atheists. I'd like to thank all the people who participated and helped me set this up here. You were wonderful. The nice decorations that they put up. We've all come here today to celebrate the life of a very special person, Arlene-Marie. I hope I can get through this. I met Arlene in 1968 in Riverview, Michigan. That's where she lived. At the time, she was in charge of Riverview Days, which is an annual fair put on by the city of Riverview. I had a photographic studio in Riverview, and Arlene came to me and asked me if I would donate some photographs of Miss Riverview. I agreed to do that, and that started a 47-year relationship between us. You'll have to excuse me, I'm going to have to stop sometimes. Arlene was my best friend, my lover, my constant companion. We were rarely apart for very long. Wherever you saw one of us, you also saw the other. We fit together so well, we were like a hand in a glove. At first we were just good friends. So you have to excuse me. After we both got divorces, we became good friends and lovers. Arlene eventually sold her house in Riverview and came to live with me in Allen Park. Arlene took a dull bachelor's house and turned it into a very wonderful home. Arlene would do anything to make our home more comfortable, more lovable. She would lay tile, she'd paint, she'd wallpaper. It didn't make any difference. Whatever it was that needed, she'd do it happily. She also helped me brick the wall behind our wood stove in our family room. She mixed the mortar and I laid the brick. That wall looks as good as if some professional bricklayer put it up. Arlene seemed to enjoy what she was doing so much that I didn't interfere with anything she wanted to do. My job was keeping the outside of our property in shape. But I learned that Arlene liked to sail. I bought a sailboat, and every summer we sailed hundreds of miles on the Great Lakes with the West Shore Sail Club, which was our sail club at the time. Later, I purchased a larger, nicer boat from a member of our sail club, and they're here tonight, the Garbocks. I think Arlene loved that boat more than she loved our house, because every summer she moved aboard the boat and I became a bachelor again. In addition to sailing, we skied. And for years we camped in a tent in Canada, which you can imagine is not very comfortable. Each year I would make the campsite a little more comfortable until it got to the point where it was so comfortable, I started calling it Camp Hilton. I made a Camp Hilton sign, and each year when we went to Canada, I would put the Camp Hilton sign at the entrance to our campsite. Our Canadian friends would see the sign and realize that we had arrived for the season and would come over and visit us. Arlene made a lot of campfires. And so our budget for campfire wood got to be pretty big. But Arlene discovered that we could go to the site, the new home construction sites in a nearby town, and collect the firewood that the workmen had discarded. Leave it to Arlene to find a bargain or a sale. Arlene didn't consider it a sale unless it was 70% off. She wouldn't even look at a 20% off sale. You should see the beautiful fur coats that Arlene purchased. Very expensive fur coats at a small fraction of the original price. We bicycled all over Allen Park. We had bicycled to Fairlane Green, an outdoor shopping plaza. The shopping plaza was home to hundreds of ducks and Canada geese. Arlene would throw bread out to them and they would come scurrying around it. There may be a picture of that on the board out there. I put a milk crate on the back of Arlene's bike so we could carry things when we were biking. And then I put a sign in the back of the milk crate, Arlene's pickup truck. With the milk crate on the back of it, it looked a little bit like a pickup truck. Arlene was a champion. Everything she did well. When she was young, she bowled. And she told me, I didn't know about this, but she told me that she won a lot of trophies and even a lot of cash. Arlene was a realtor for many years, and she had several awards from the work she did as a realtor. Wherever she worked or did something, she got awards. At one time, she belonged to Toastmasters, a club that helps people to become better public speakers. I should have taken the course. It was a rare night that Arlene came away from Toastmasters without an award. And as a matter of fact, she had so many stacked up at one time that she gave them back to them. When she was young and married, she adopted a little girl. Arlene was an excellent seamstress, among other things. So she decided that she could economize by making all of the daughter's clothes as well as her own. And the clothes that she made were every bit as good, if not better, than what she could buy in a store, and at a fraction of the cost. The one thing Arlene loved and devoted herself to more than anything else was Michigan Atheists. She had a passion for Michigan Atheists. She was totally committed to our Constitution, particularly the First Amendment, which was created to keep government and religion separate. Arlene was an atheist activist from the early 60s when she was a good friend of Madeline O'Hare, the mother of atheism in America. Arlene has a wall full of awards she received when she was working with American Atheists before she took on the directorship of Michigan Atheists. Last November, Arlene complained of not feeling very well. Then in December, when we had a convention, every year we had a convention in December, when at the end of the convention, Arlene said to me, I felt so bad that I didn't even realize that I was standing in front of the audience, and I don't remember what I said. As soon as the convention was over, I took her to the hospital. We discovered that she had pneumonia, and she evidently had had it for some time. She got cured of the pneumonia, and we thought she was her good old healthy self again. Arlene was always one of the healthiest persons I ever known. I would have estimated in the 47 years that I knew her, she didn't go to a doctor more than once a year, if that much. And that's because she took care of herself. She knew how to take care of herself. She always had the blood pressure of a very young person. Her blood pressure was always in the lower 120s, over 60 or 70. So with her normal good health and blood pressure like that, we had no reason to suspect that she would have a heart problem. It sneaked up on us in the still of the night. After she died, I learned that the 60 plus years she smoked cigarettes probably weakened her heart. This was confirmed by what doctors told me. That plus the exhausting work she did with Michigan Atheists is probably what caused her death. In spite of all of Arlene's confidence, she very much wanted to be loved and protected. She often asked me, "How much do you love me?" She knew the answer, but she just wanted to hear me say it. So I would stretch out my arms, I said, "I love you this much." It was kind of a game that we played together. She used to say that when she died, she was going to go to med school. Arlene, being the giving person that she was, gave the last thing that she had to give. She donated her body to science. She went to med school. What a wonderful world this would be if it were filled with people like Arlene. All of us who can now openly be atheists owe a huge debt of gratitude to Arlene for the tireless work she did in promoting atheist civil rights and separation of state and church. I miss that feisty little lady so much, as I'm sure many of you will also. And now I want to introduce Frank Zindler, a longtime friend of Arlene and me. Frank has been an atheist probably since he was a child. He's been a board member of American Atheists for many, many years, and he's seen a lot of changes. He may be going to talk some about that today. But mostly, as I understand, he's going to be talking about atheism as it related to Arlene. Frank is a very accomplished writer. He's got written, what, 32 books?
Well, I've written 6, but edited and published 30.
Oh, okay. He's a very intelligent man. In order to do the work that he does, he has to know a little bit the basics of the languages that he's working in, that he's getting information from. And he knows, I don't know how many languages in that regard. How many do you work with, Frank?
Regularly about 16.
About 16 languages he works with. I have trouble with one. Okay, so I would like to introduce Frank, our very good friend.
Thank you, George. It is usually a joy to return to Michigan, the state in which I was born. It's usually a great joy to come to the greater Detroit area, where in the early days, Henry Morgan led an American Atheist chapter that was extremely activist, even picketing the Pope. To come back to the Detroit area, where later Arlene-Marie, with the help of George Shiffer, founded and led American Atheists up until the present time. Today, however, it is with deep sadness, and indeed some anxiety, that I return to my comrades in reason, to mourn the loss, and to celebrate the life of Arlene-Marie. As many of you know, and as George has just told you, Arlene and I have been dear friends for decades. Perhaps for longer than some of you sitting here have been alive. Arlene was perhaps the only person I know who had a higher opinion of me than I have of myself. When briefly I became president of American Atheists back in 2008, I asked her to join the board of directors, which she accepted. Her help in setting up the annual American Atheist Convention the following spring was crucial. She was a trusted and immensely valuable advisor during my brief tenure in office. Arlene shared with me a completely scientific, mechanistic, no-nonsense view of life. Unlike like me, she was greatly influenced by the great philosopher Bertrand Russell. But unlike me, she was led to his writings while she was still a child, whereas I discovered him only in college. I had planned to read to you an excerpt of something by Bertrand Russell that I thought would sum up her views and leave a message with you that you might use to guide yourselves if you would be interested in following her as leaders in the struggle against the deceptions of supernaturalism, as fighters in the revolutionary war to liberate the human mind, and as salvagers of the wreck of civilization that is now beginning on this spaceship that we call Earth. Before I could locate such a quotation, however, I chanced upon the tattered remnants of one of the two most important books that I have ever read in my life. This was the book called Man and His Gods by the great philosopher and physiologist Homer W. Smith. The book came with a foreword by Albert Einstein, no less. In the epilogue of that book, Smith had there were several paragraphs that just leaped up to my attention. And I think that they reflect the quintessence of Arlene's reasoning, her values, and indeed I think they sum up her life. And I'd like to share these couple paragraphs with you now. This is Homer W. Smith. All human history reveals that transcendental metaphysics is not only futile, but dangerous. Those who have foisted, frequently by not too honest means, their unsupported speculations upon the naive and gullible as truth have served to retard human progress and realization, self-realization, more than any other misfortune that has ever befallen us. History also reveals that we do not need any brand of transcendental metaphysics. Our lasting contentments and achievements we have found wholly within the frame of reference that takes things as they are in the here and now. No pattern of living is written in the stars. Each may be tried and esteemed according to the individual. No principle of justice is foreordained. Justice must be realized between individuals as a reasoned compromise. No value can be capitalized. All values are fluctuations in vital dynamics. No supernal power can aid us. We must find within ourselves the creative vision the courage, and the will for our fulfillment. Unhappiness, whether avoidable or not, too frequently comes in large pieces. But happiness is generally as fine-grained as life itself, and so intimately intermixed with living that it can be extracted from breathing, eating, sleeping, waking, from the humblest labor, from all achievement and creation and understanding. And few people need fail to accumulate a goodly store of it. All of us can accumulate a larger store. We do not need a machine to manufacture happiness, nor an oracle to tell us where to find it. It's a byproduct of life, needing only to be separated from a dross of want and pain. When the scales weigh down beneath the latter, our self-reliance will not fail us. We will fall back on that most elemental of animal virtues, courage. We can lose our gods, but we cannot lose ourselves. Our fate was not determined in the temple of Marduk, written on the tablets of Marduk, or in the temple of Osiris, or settled by Olympian conclave, or predestined by a righteous Yahweh. We have always had it clutched in our own hands. We need but open our fingers to read our lifeline. We need but close them resolutely upon the task in order to turn our dreams into reality. Then we will pronounce life good and cease to worry about that which at present lies beyond our ken, nor look back at the phantasmagoria that mark the past. It is up to us. We alone, by our own efforts, can enlarge the bounds of empire to the effecting of all things possible, to remolding this sorry scheme of things entire, nearer to the heart's desire. We alone can see ourselves and our world in width and depth. We alone can choose out of our vision of the past and the present our future course. That is what Arlene-Marie and her lover and second self, George Shiffer, that is what they tried to do. Indeed, they have gone close to turning a noble vision into concrete reality. Congregation of unbelievers here assembled, and the organization under whose auspices we gather today together, we are very much the realization of Arlene-Marie's vision. And now we must choose our future course. Will we create a grand statue to place upon the pedestal the fine foundation that Arlene-Marie has created with her life's labor? Her labor, quite literally, ending with her last breath, her last heartbeat. Will she have died in vain? Will all the deadlines that she strained to meet have been met for naught? Will all the battles that she fought have been won in vain? Will all the pain and heartache that she suffered throughout a long life have been endured for no lasting purpose? Will her heroic struggle against the benighted legions of ignorance and superstition have been nothing more than a shadow show? A shadow on the wall that now will fade into a darkness of religious night, because none who are left shall choose to pick up her torch. Pick up her torch to drive the darkling demons of deception out of the public stage and back into the sepulchral churches wherein they were spawned. Shall the organization for which Arlene-Marie lived and died now also die as well when George is gone? Will someone here today step forward into the light that Arlene-Marie has kindled before it fades? Will someone pick up her candle from the dust before its flame is snuffed? If I shall live another 5 years, will there still be a Michigan Atheist organization that I may revisit? Will it be an organization that I can revisit with the same pride that for decades I have felt when returning to the state of my birth, the soil upon which my own mind was liberated so long ago? Who now shall come forward to lead the charge, to advance the cause of reason? Is there anyone?